Hello everyone. Hello, good morning or good afternoon, depending where you're at, or maybe even good night. I'm about a minute early, so I'm going to wait for people to join me and give people the time to join. And hope everybody's doing well. I'm in Calgary today. It is quite cold. It is quite gloomy, but another good Wednesday, and hopefully, where you're at, things are a little better, and that maybe you have some sunshine, which would be nice. Again, I'm going to wait just a few seconds more for people to log in and be able to join me today. And we will start in just 1 second. Before we start, I just want to say a few things that are more of housekeeping than everything. This webinar is for general information only and should not be seen as personal recommendations. Please consult with your physician prior to making any dietary changes, and any decision you do after or you make after this webinar is your own responsibility. Okay, so thank you everyone for joining me. I am excited for what we are having as a subject today. It's going to be quite interesting. Before I dive in, I would like to introduce myself for those of you that do not know me. My name is Shani. I am a certified holistic nutrition consultant, and I am the founder of Lemon Tree Nutrition. I work with clients from all different struggles and backgrounds, and I'm very fortunate to help people with reaching their goals. But my specialty is women who are 40 years and older, so 50 years old and 60, who struggle with low levels of energy and constant exhaustion. I help them lower fatigue and increase their energy, and have them feel ready to take on the world and do whatever they want to do and just live their life to the fullest. Okay, feel free to write any comments or questions, whatever comes up to mind as far as this webinar goes. What are we going to talk about today? Today is going to be about the connection between our waistline, our stomach area, and sleep. Not many people make that connection, and I want to clarify a few things and kind of like go a little deeper into that, maybe reduce some confusion that may be out there. So how the lack of sleep can affect our food choices, what can we do about it, and can sleep actually help with weight management? Stick with me to the end, because at the very end of this webinar, I'm going to give you great tips on actually what to do, because we know the why, but not necessarily many of us know the how. So I'm going to guide you on great tips on how to do that and what to do. All right, a little bit of explanation about sleep. We all know that sleep is important. We know that it's the key for us to function during the day and to go about with our tasks. And we need to invest in sleep. We need to give a certain time of the day to sleep. And it's weird because some people can function on very little sleep, and it makes us wonder, how does one person can function and be focused and sharp after 2, 3, 4 hours of sleep. And some really need the 8 hours, otherwise they're grumpy and they can't focus properly. It's interesting, and there's a whole science behind that, but we're not going to go into that. But just for you to keep in mind that people have different needs. Some may be okay with more sleep, some may be okay with less. At the end of the day, it's what we let our body get used to, but we'll go into that later. There's also a time of our life where we need to sleep less, even if it's not something we want to do, we're kind of forced into the situation. So for example, if you have small kids and they wake up through the night, or they have bad dreams and you have to wake up and calm them down, and students that have an exam or a paper to hand in and they have to spend extra hours, maybe all through the night, to prepare for that exam the next day. Shift workers that are doing an incredible job and are so important for our industry, they also have fluctuations in their sleep, just because they may sleep when all of us are awake and the other way around. So different reasons for different ways to spend the night or to invest in how much we sleep. So sleep is, I would, we are now in COVID times, but I would describe, me and my peers would describe lack of sleep as one of the biggest pandemics that we have in the Western world. It seems like people feel that going to bed is a chore. It's something that we have to do at a certain time, otherwise XYZ will happen. When our approach is actually interfering with the quality and quantity of sleep. We feel that maybe we should get another episode in that series that we're watching, or maybe read another chapter and just let the book make us fall asleep, or do one more thing around the house that we haven't had the time to do before. Just different things that make us push further away our bedtime, and that actually interferes with our health and food choices. We'll talk about that in a second. We know that lack of sleep can affect our body in so many different ways. And this very specific way that I'm going to talk about today is our waistline, which is a very general way to say how we choose our foods. Can sleep actually make us gain weight? Can sleep affect our food choices? Can sleep make us crave one food more than the other? So we'll talk about that. So here we go. We gave the background of sleep. We all know that sleep is important for recovery, for regeneration, for muscles, skin, detoxification. Just the list goes on and on and on. But that's the time our body has dedicated in our day to recovery. So let's imagine that you go to sleep normally on a, let's say 10 p.m. and you wake up at 6 a.m. So you get a good 8 hours of sleep. Now, that happens consistently for a while, and that is great, and it's working for you and you feel okay with that. One night, something happens, and for whatever reason, you are not able to fall asleep. And you toss and turn in bed, and when you finally fall asleep, your sleep is not of good quality. You're again tossing and turning, and you wake up of this and you wake up of that, and then you have to go to the bathroom and you turn on the light, go to the bathroom, come back, try to fall asleep again, and kind of like drift away but not really have this good night's sleep. So you wake up eventually in the morning and you are ready to take on the day, feeling exhausted and maybe a little foggy. So, has it ever happened to you that you have got up and felt hungrier in different times of the day? Have you ever felt that you had cravings for things that usually you don't eat? Have you had that urge to eat more than what you would normally do? And this is all happening because that night's sleep that kind of screwed up with your routine caused. So that may happen. Nothing wrong with that. We are all humans, and that happens more often than not, unfortunately. And that's okay. And then the next day you go back to your routine, or a couple of days after, and everything is fine. But my question for you is, what if it happens more than one time, more than two times, more than a week, more than a month, more than a few months, even a year or two? You have not been getting a good night's sleep for an extended period of time. Is that affecting your food choices now on a regular basis? And does it trigger the question that should you have had a good rest, would you have felt better with your food choices, less hungry, more inclined to do physical activity, and all that good stuff? So, something to ask yourself and see, where are you at? Are you at the place that you have consistent, good quality sleep and long enough? Or do you have it breaking down for an extended period of time and now you haven't slept properly for a very long time? So, you know what? We don't want to stress about sleep. Sleep is something that our body demands naturally, at least most of us. But let me explain to you why it interferes, or it may interfere, with our waistline. So studies have shown, well, first of all, let's mention two major hormones that are connected to our hunger and satiety feelings. One is called ghrelin and one is called leptin. Leptin is a hormone that makes us feel satiated. And studies have shown that with a disturbed night's sleep, we actually produce up to 20% less leptin than we would if our night sleep would have been good. Meaning, our sensitivity to feel satiated goes down in 20%. On the other side, the other hormone, ghrelin, which you can probably connect to your stomach growling. So, ghrelin is the hormone that makes you feel hungry or rises when you feel hungry. That rises up to 30%. So, look at that. You are, because of a bad night's sleep, you may feel up to 30% hungrier and be up to 20% less sensitive to feeling satiated. So already, because of not sleeping properly, you are more inclined to eat more due to the hormones. So you're thinking, oh my, I may fight it and not eat, but you are going to feel hungrier. And those studies that have shown the effect of sleep over our waistline have shown also that people consume more calories. There's actually a number that we could talk about, and that may surprise you. People who had struggled with a good night's sleep have eaten more, 270 calories, and up to 600 calories more than they would have eaten should they had a good night's sleep. 600 calories is a meal. So imagine that you're adding an entire meal to your day just because you had a bad night's sleep. So that's, I think, quite impressive. And then you may say, you know what? It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. I am okay with eating a little bit more, not a big deal, because I will now, because I'm putting more energy in my body, I will now have more energy to expend. Well, sadly, no. Studies have shown that people actually are not inclined to do more physical activity, even though they consume more energy. So what happens if you consume more energy than you expend? Most likely you will gain weight. So here you see the connection between our waistline and sleep. And let's say you don't care about that, you're fine with that, and that's totally fine. No judgment here. Just, we're talking about facts, but there are other aspects with considering a good night's sleep. If we don't allow our body to completely recover from the day by providing it the proper amount of sleep, we can interfere with our immune system, because at night our body recovers, and part of the recovery is also having our immune system kind of recalibrate itself in order to be stronger and ready to tackle another day. Even diabetes. So there is an effect on the sensitivity of sugar in our blood when we do not sleep enough. So there are some diseases involved in lack of sleep as well, or potential diseases. I'm not saying that all of those that are not sleeping properly will be experiencing a certain disease, but the potential to get it grows when you don't sleep properly. Another aspect of lack of sleep would be to be able to focus the next day, to think about your tasks, to actually be motivated to execute the tasks that you are planning to do. Just remember the last time you were tired, how inclined you were to go and say, okay, I'm ready, I'm going to tackle this day and do it. And no, what usually happens is that you're like, oh my God, I need to sleep and I would like to take a nap. And the last thing that I want to do is go and put check marks on my to-do list. So really, my intention is not to scare anyone and preach about you should sleep 8 hours a night. Absolutely not. I'm talking about the combination of quality and quantity. If you are okay with sleeping less, maybe invest in a good quality sleep. If you are okay with sleeping more, see that the quality is there, but also give yourself enough time. So it's very personal. As we've mentioned, it affects us in many different ways. And we want to make sure that our body gets what it needs, and that depends on the person. Everyone is different. So let's see, what can we do to have a better night's sleep, and as a result, kind of maintain and watch our food intake the next day in a more easy way and a healthy way. So let's talk about eating before bedtime. There's a lot of talks now about fasting and to end your eating period early enough in the day to make sure that you don't go to bed when there's still food in your stomach. Now, again, I would like to emphasize that we're all different, and not only that our body is different, but also our choices and lifestyle is different. So if someone has to exercise later in the day and then is hungry after and finishes dinner at 8 p.m., that's okay for this person, and that's how things are for him. If someone else can stop eating earlier and doesn't feel hungry, that's okay for that person. But please don't follow a certain rule that is being followed by a trend because maybe that does not work for you. Maybe that is not appropriate for you. Another thing to consider about food is, what have you had for dinner? If you had a big steak or a piece of chicken that is a certain kind of protein that takes longer to be digested in our body, then you may need to give your body more time to adjust and to um, digest the food that you just had. If you had only vegetables or other simple carbs like beans and lentils and stuff like that, you may need less time to leave for digestion. Overall, as a general recommendation, again, it is very dependent on who you are and your lifestyle. You want to have between 2 and 3 hours of no eating from the last meal you had and your bedtime. Sometimes it's possible, sometimes it's not. Don't torture yourself. Don't hit yourself for eating late. The only thing is that you need to be mindful of that. See if you really need that big pile of chips or popcorn at 10 p.m. when your bedtime is 10:30. Or are you really not going to have a piece of fruit if your last meal was at 6 and you go to bed at 11, and now you have 5 hours that may or may not cause you to be super hungry, and that hunger will wake you up in the middle of the night, right? There's also a blood sugar level maintenance that has to happen that affects people in different ways. So remember that food has a major effect. The food intake before bedtime has a major effect on our sleep. Blue light. Oh, goodness. There is an obsession out there about blue lights. Everybody's obsessed with no blue lights before bedtime and get those glasses that block blue lights. And there are so many things out there, and it's great, but we need to remember that this is only one side of things. Blue light exposure, blue light is what radiates from electronics like our cell phone and our TV and our computers and all that. However, we also need to focus on the exposure to blue light during the day. So, okay, let me clarify. Blue light can be beneficial and detrimental together to our sleep. We want less exposure to blue light when it's nighttime and our melatonin levels rise. Our melatonin simply rises because the sun went down, and there's a cyclical thing that happened that rises melatonin and helps us sleep after. During the day, we want to lower melatonin. We want to make sure that it's oppressed, because otherwise we will want to sleep and kind of interfere with our circadian cycle, which is that cycle that affects our sleep and awaken times. So by exposing ourselves to blue light, which the best source is the sun, which is hiding today behind the clouds, but generally it's there. The exposure to sunlight is incredibly important, and it's not less important than the lack of exposure to blue light at nighttime. So when people during the day put glasses on and blue light blockers, they can actually interfere with blue light exposure during the day, which is a good thing. Now, please, I'm not telling you to sit in front of the computer that puts blue light on your face during the day for hours and hours and hours and say you're good. No, I'm talking about sunlight. So go out there, expose yourself to sunlight and that blue light, the good blue light out there during the day and then reduce to minimum possible. And I know sometimes it's not possible or feasible because that's how our life is. So expose yourself to the least amount of blue light you possibly can during the night. So please don't obsess about not exposing yourself to blue light at night. I would be more concerned to um, do expose yourself to blue light during the day. Hope that makes sense. Sleep hygiene. Sleep hygiene is, you probably heard that term before, but it is something that is constructed of many, many parts. For example, sleep hygiene could be the level of darkness you have in your bedroom. Ideally, when you lift your hand in front of your eyes at night in your bedroom, you won't see your hand. That is ideal. I know it's not, again, not totally feasible, but if you can, try to create the darkest conditions for you to sleep. If that's not possible, there are some covers that you can buy and put on your eyes to create complete darkness, but the importance of complete darkness is actually bigger than we may think. Another aspect of sleep hygiene is comfort. The comfort comes from your bed, so your mattress should be comfortable, your pajamas if you wear any. The temperature in the room is a big one. If it's too warm, too cold, that can negatively affect your sleep. So yeah, sleep hygiene is another important aspect. If you wake up at night to pee or to get a glass of water, that's also something that I would try to reduce simply because it interferes with the flow. You don't want to interrupt the cyclical 90-minute cycles that happen during the night and help you actually to get to the REM eventually and help you with a good quality night's sleep. So if you can not get out of bed and go to pee or go to have a glass of water or whatever it is you're having, that would be ideal. Not to have it would be ideal because you don't want to interrupt with that cycle. And the last thing I would mention today, we are almost half an hour in, would be to remember that sleep is made in the kitchen. And what do I mean by that? If your food intake is mainly consisting of processed food, high empty calories, simple carbs as opposed to complex, things that may be, you know, fun and delicious for a moment in your mouth, but not necessarily well accepted by your body, that long term can affect your sleep. Ideally, your food intake should be consisted of a lot of fruits and vegetables. You want to get a lot of that in your body. A variety of fruits and vegetables is a very, very important factor. If you eat that, you get enough fiber. Fiber is very, very important. It's a part of the feeling full and eliminating things from our digestive system. So that's really important. Fats. Try to see that you're having the correct fat for you. Good omegas, ideally plant-based. Fats that nourish you and not cause any issues. And of course, protein. You want to have the good protein. If you are a meat eater, that's fine. Just make sure that you leave enough time between the last time you had animal protein and your bedtime. So to make sure that you're actually allowing that protein to be digested. If you are more of a plant protein type of person, like quinoa or beans or lentils, you probably will digest it quicker. but also just during the day, make sure that you are getting enough of protein. So again, complex carbs, fruits and veggies, um, good fat, good quality protein, and the very least amount of processed food and sugars and simple carbs that you can. Um, Fresh air. Fresh air is a big thing. We forget that the most simple solutions are usually the best. Stepping outside of your house, or if you are in an office and you have the ability to go for a walk a couple times during your workday, I highly suggest that. And if it's cold or raining or snowing, just dress up properly and go for a safe walk. If you can't do that, even just opening a window or standing by a door and taking deep breaths of the fresh air that you have exposed yourself to, even for a few minutes only, that would help incredibly with your sleep. Exercise. Exercise is also a major part of our ability to sleep. Again, not too much, not too little. Too little may not create um, energy fluctuations in your body, and too much may actually cause you to not sleep. Too much stress on our body and too much exercise. And by the way, what is too much exercise? That's very personal. It depends on your level. High level athletes may have different amounts of exercises that they're fine with it. It's whatever your body is used to. So too much exercise, too little exercise, look into that. And of course, don't exercise close to your bedtime. Try to have, just like food, 2-3 hours of no exercising before bed, and some breathing, relaxation methods, meditation, anything that takes you into that calmer mode that will kind of signal your body that you're about to sleep and you are about to allow it to relax and kind of like forget about the day. So that's it for today. I really hope this was informative and helpful for you. If you have any questions, I will be more than happy to answer them. You can always contact me through my website, lemontreenutrition.ca, or through my information that is on my Facebook page, Lemon Tree Nutrition Consulting. I'm working on something really, really exciting for the ladies over 40 and 50 who are struggling with low energy and lack of motivation as a result. I'm working on something amazing. It's actually almost done. I'm super, super excited. I'm about to launch it, and it's going to be ready for sale in a very short time, and I'm going to have it available for you to purchase. It's a 10-week program that is very simple, very easy to follow, but has a massive impact on your energy levels. It takes you step by step. Every week is dedicated to something else that contributes to your energy levels, and after 10 weeks, you may feel a big difference. So I'll let you know. Keep following me. Share this. Feel free to share this with anyone you think may benefit from it. And hope to see you soon. Take care, everyone. And thank you for joining me today. Bye.